But one person was about to turn the glam rock world upside down. For once, this wasn't a man dressing as a woman.
Suzi Quatro was the girl who gate crashed the boys' party. She was really the kind of reverse of the kind of glam tropey, which was guys, you know, looking like women.
Step forward the girl who would be king, Suzi Quatro. The young Susan Quatruccio had music in her genes. Born in Detroit, her father, Art, was a jazz band leader. By her late teens, Suzi was playing with her three sisters in rock and roll band The Pleasure Seekers.
Everybody took an instrument and they said, "You are playing the bass." And here I am. So don't take me home, baby. Nah, 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 'cause your mama won't like me.
Detroit was home to one of the biggest music scenes in the world, with Motown rubbing shoulders with rock and roll. And Suzi was soon supporting one particularly outrageous performer.
If you would have known her before, she was much more of a Detroit rocker. We played with Suzi Quatro in her band, The Pleasure Seekers, all of her sisters. They had a band that opened for us for years. I mean, every time you'd see Suzi, she would just, "Oh, hi Suzi, how you doing?" You know, she was like your little sister.
When top British record producer Mickey Most saw them performing in a Detroit club, only one person stood out.
He said, "Forget everybody else, take that bass player." And the next thing I knew, I was on a plane to England with a contract in my hand.
Mickey Most had worked with a host of 70s stars, including Lulu and Mud. He was an acknowledged maestro of the 3-minute pop hit.
There was a demand for a new girl singer in England. We needed that. There was just a void there. And whilst there's a void, there's always a chance to make some success.
Hang on now. Right. When you go into this bridge, it has to be a complete contrast.
Mickey quickly signed Suzi to Rack Records. A band was found, and Suzi was soon supporting one of the biggest glam acts around.
Mickey knew us pretty well, and he asked us as a favour to take her out on tour because she was totally unknown here. We said, OK, we'd give her 20 minutes at the start of the show. Every time I see her, she goes mad at me. "You only gave me 20 minutes. I said, "Well, you hadn't got any material that lasts longer than 20 minutes.
But 2 years had gone by, and Suzi still hadn't given the label a big hit. It was time for one last push.
We were recording quite a lot with Mickey, but we just couldn't. It just didn't happen, you know.
And he said, "Would you mind if I sent down these two writers? Just let them come see you, and maybe they can come up with this magical 3-minute single that we need."
Mike Chapman was a Rack Records stablemate and one half of the hit songwriting team of the day.
Mickey said to me, "I know she's a star, but I just can't put my finger on what it is that she needs to break."
He had the glam formula down to a T, and it didn't take him long to work his magic.
We got a phone call that very night saying, "Well, come in the morning, I've got something now." Bloody hell, that was quick. Hope it's good.
Mickey's eyes lit up and he said, "This is fantastic. Now we can create the image." Boom.
So Mickey said, "Okay, what do you want to wear?" And I said, "Leather." And he said, No. He said, "It's passé." And I said, "Leather." And he said, "Suzi, it's been done." I said, "Never by a woman."
And she's gonna can the can?
So make a stand for your man, honey. Try to can the can.
How could any teenage boy, seeing a girl in tight black leather with a big blooming guitar strapped round her, not watch her on Top of the Pops and think, just maybe?
Well, can the can.
She was the hot chick. She had the flowing locks. She had the great body. She had the leather. But the fact that she was so tiny and had this huge instrument.
Everybody always says Suzi plays this enormous bass guitar. It's not enormous. It is a normal-sized bass guitar. I'm small.
Can the Can was a #1 hit, and Suzi Quatro had arrived.
And the next day after it was shown on TV, my ex-husband and I went out to get a beer.
Everybody was looking at us, and I thought, oh shit.
And I just really, really didn't like it at all. That's a lie. I loved it. Fantastic.
Once you had your first big hit with an artist such as Suzi Quatro, the pressure was on. She's obviously got the goods. You can't let her down. This thing popped into my head, 48 Crash.
Mike Chapman continued to write for Suzi, although even she didn't always know what she was singing about.
He would take phrases like, can it. In America, you say, oh, can it.
For years, people have been asking me, what does can the can mean? Well, I don't know any more than they do.
Delegate Drive, I bet you don't know where that is either. I do. It's just on the borders of Shropshire.
48 Crash actually did end up having a bit of a meaning. It was my way of saying that when you reach the age of 48, it's all over. Life is over. Thank God I don't think that way now. The Silk Sash Bash was putting on the dressing gown with the silk sash, but it had somewhat of a depth in the lyric.
48 Crash was Suzi's second top 5 hit, proving that a girl could make it in a man's world of glam rock.
She was the biggest pin-up for every guy, but the great thing about Suzi Quatro is every girl wanted to be her as well.
Any female artist in the mid to late 70s who is at all serious about success, one of their heroes was Suzi Quatro.
Suzi Quatro was an inspiration because I used to just love to watch her perform. Great songs, great voice, great image, just different.
All over the world, we'd get girls coming up and they bought a bass and would she sign it. I think she was quite an influence.
Talent, see, always rises.
Suzi went on to have 16 hit singles, but when her teen audience moved on, so did she.
Although you were surrounded by...
She was getting older, and I figured, well, if her fans are following her, they're getting older too. There's no point hammering away at the same stuff. It's good to move in another direction, which we did. Towards the end of the 70s, she acquired this legendary status. And, of course, once you're a legend, that's it. You're all over.
Like Noddy and David Bowie, Suzi also turned her attention to acting, including a role on the American comedy hit series Happy Days. But her first love would always be music.
If you don't feel from your head to your toe immersed in what you're doing, you really should just retire.
Today she's gone back to her rock and roll roots and continues to blaze a trail for women in the male-dominated world of rock.
And I always say I'll never retire. I'm gonna stop when I drop, to tell you the truth. On the record, the leather jumpsuit still fits. Yes!